Hey, what's up guys? Today we're going to talk about the considerations that the court will take into account when deciding on custody, care and control of children during a divorce. Now, judges in Singapore will apply a standard known as the welfare principle, which means that the court will look at the best interests of the child. This provision is crystallized in section 123 of the Women's Charter. Now, welfare in relation to a child includes the custody and education of the child and financial provisions made for the child. Section 125 of the Women's Charter provides that when deciding who gets custody, care and control of the children, the paramount consideration shall be the welfare of the child. And in deciding on the welfare of the child, the court can look at the wishes of the parent as well as the wishes of the child. When considering the wishes of the parent and the wishes of the child, the judge will have to take into account number one, the primary caregiver of the child during the child's formative years. In other words, they will look at whether the child grew up with the mother or the father. So, if the father is a primary caregiver of the child because the mother is frequently absent, is stationed overseas, frequently goes on business trips, then there is a higher likelihood for the father to be given care and control of the child because the child grew up with the father during his formative years. The judge will also look at the current living arrangements, whether the child currently, before the divorce and during the divorce, lives with the mother or the father. And the judge will also take into account the child's wishes. Does the child prefer to stay with the mother or does the child prefer to stay with the father? Other factors that the judge will consider are the parent's wishes, the age of the child, the parent's financial ability, the presence of family support. The court will not prioritize the parent's wishes and likings above the welfare of the child. The child's welfare is always a paramount consideration. Also, the parent with a higher financial ability does not necessarily have an advantage when it comes to the child's custodial arrangements or the care and control arrangements. So just because the father makes 10 times more than the mother, salary-wise, does not necessarily mean that he will get sole custody or care and control of the child. The court will look at multiple factors when deciding who should have care and control or custody of the child, which is usually joint custody for both parents. In addition to the factors that I just discussed, the judge may also ask for social service reports or counseling sessions to assess the child's and the parents' state and the type of suitable custody order to make. Commonly used reports include the social welfare report. Social welfare reports are usually ordered by the court when there are disputes over which parent should have custody of the child and are prepared by officers from the Ministry of Culture, Community and Youth. These officers will speak to the child and observe the child's interactions with his or her parents and then prepare the report, which will not be shown to the two parties involved and only to be used by the judge. Now, it is important to note that regardless of who gets custody, care and control of the child, under the Women's Charter, each parent, the mother and the father, is required to provide for their child until the age of 21. So the courts will usually order the parents to support the child until they finish university studies, if that occurs after the age of 21. Section 127 of the Women's Charter gives the court the power to order a parent to pay maintenance for the benefit of his child in such manner as the court thinks fit. So even if one parent does not have custody of the child or does not have care and control of the child, he or she still has to pay maintenance if the court orders so. When children reach the age for entering university, parents may apply to the court for a variation, an amendment of the maintenance order to take into account higher fees for university education and needs, living expenses, the duration of maintenance while the child is in university, and monies for his daily needs and expenses. So thanks for watching this video on the factors that the court will take into account when deciding on custody, care and control.